down into the far turn, and she's joined by Glenall, who starts to rally now. Very Scary has been left alone up top. In front by a length and a half to We Miss Grammy coming to the quarter pole. Slam Diego is at the rail. Glenall a joint fourth. Outside Carpe Fortuna and Awesome Taylor top of the lane. And Very Scary cuts the corner with a 2-length lead. Slam Diego trying to cut into that margin second. Coming to the 16th. Very Scary, Slam Diego, Glenall widest of all, Awesome Taylor at the rail. It's Very Scary by 2, and Very Scary takes them virtually coast to coast. Slam Diego, Glenall, and Awesome Taylor. Taste of Miami in our chandelier room. A special Cuban-style buffet, a live Latin band, Miami-style DJ, cigars, They're in the gate. And they're off in the Robert B. Lewis Stakes. Arabian Lion and Hard to Figure will speed off to the lead. Worcester gets the nice tracking trip, and Newgate is tugging from the back of the field. 7 furlongs to run, and Arabian Lion at the rail with Hard to Figure about a neck back second. A length and a half back to Worcester, tucked in, joined by Newgate. 3 lengths, covers the field. They have 6 furlongs to run. And it's Arabian Lion and John Velasquez just cruising along with mild pressure from Hard to Figure in second. Then Worcester at the rail with the yellow cap. Very eager in third. Newgate just outside of him. 5 furlongs to run. And it's Arabian Lion leading the Baffert charge toward the half-mile pole. Hard to Figure a half length behind in second. Worcester continues to travel nicely on the rail, and Newgate keeping pace with him. There's been no change. 3 furlongs to run. Arabian Lion to catch, trying to sneak away from Hard to Figure, who's still within a neck second. Newgate advancing steadily and willingly on the outside, and Worcester is down at the rail. They have a quarter of a mile to go. Hard to Figure, Arabian Lion, but here comes Newgate after them in third, and Worcester trails 3/16 of a mile to go. Newgate on the outside and Hard to Figure. Hard to Figure has the lead. Newgate trying to get by him second. Arabian Lion is back to third. A 16th to go. Newgate, Hard to Figure, tough. Newgate has the advantage, though, and it's Newgate to score by about a head. Hard to Figure second, Worcester third, Arabian Lion fourth in the Robert B. Lewis. Racing in America, as Jeff Lewis presents the trophy for today's Robert B. Lewis Stakes. They're in the gate. And they're off in the megahertz. Closing remarks is hustled out. Baystorm has good natural speed. One Silk Stocking is up close, as is School Dance. Nadet is down at the rail. Quattro L in the red. And another 4 lengths back to the trailer, Oakhurst. Into the first turn, it's Baystorm at the rail and One Silk Stocking. Those 2 Matt strides. Closing remarks in between horses. Nadet at the rails. School Dance, Lime Cap, 3 wide, 3 off the pace, with 5.5 furlongs to go. Then it's Quattro L, 7 lengths off the lead, and another neck back to Oakhurst. They swing on to the backstretch, and Baystorm now opens up a length and a half on One Silk Stocking in second. Down at the rail, Nadet with School Dance. Closing remarks under a tight hold between those 2. Quattro L as they're taking much closer order, and Oakhurst just outside of her, with under a half mile to go, and Baystorm to catch. She's been there every step of the way, bounding along with a length lead on One Silk Stocking. Nadet is down at the rail with the red cap. School Dance is now called on outside of her, taking third. Closing remarks, looking for breathing room, Oakhurst and Quattro L. One Silk stalking his right to Bay Storm with a quarter of a mile to go. School Dance in pursuit. Oakhurst will go widest of all. Closing remarks looking for a seam. Nadette is down at the rail. They're a furlong from the finish. Bay Storm, One Silk stalking. Here's Quattro L in the red. Absolutely motoring. Finding a spot one from the rail. And Quattro L has taken the lead close to home. What a ride from Hector Berrios as Quattro L wins the Megahertz. Bay Storm was second. Then it was a photo among closing remarks, One Silk Stocking, and School Dance. With the Rainbow Six today, please be advised, if there should be a single ticket winner, it'll pay $1 million. They're in the gate. And they're off. Rhythm on Stage had a clean beginning, but it's Seattle Surf who's quickest and joined immediately by Bus Buzz. And those two hook up. Seattle Surf and Bus Buzz to the front. A gap of 4 back to Upward Mobility. Ghostly Act racing in 4th. Then comes Catalina Eddy between those two, and Rhythm on Stage 4 wide and last. Heading to the 3/8 pole, and Bus Buzz has opened up a 4-length lead. Seattle Surf in second, Catalina Eddy third. Then Rhythm on Stage moving up on the outside to claim third, 7 or 8 lengths off the lead. It's another 4 back to Ghostly Act and Upward Mobility. A quarter of a mile to go, and Bus Buzz loose with a 4.5 length advantage. Seattle Surf, Catalina Eddy making headway at the rail. Rhythm on Stage is hard ridden. There's an 1/8 of a mile to go, and Bus Buzz still clear. Catalina Eddy moves into second, and then Seattle Surf in third. A 16th to go, and Bus Buzz very sharp in a good-looking debut. Bus Buzz romps home by almost 8 lengths. Catalina Eddy second, Seattle Surf third, then Upward Mobility. Speed lane. They'll be at the gate in 20 minutes. Carmen Miranda to the outside. They're in the gate. And they're off. She's got away, bounces out very quickly. Pearl Glory now moving for the lead with Carmen Miranda on the far outside. And down at the rail, Tom's Beauty is close up. So it's Tom's Beauty and Carmen Miranda who are dueling through the opening furlong. Pearl Glory is racing in between those two. She's got away, racing 4th, about 2 lengths off the pace. Down at the rail, it's Ready, Jet, Go. Racing 2 lengths in front of Rubber Girl, who's about 6 lengths off the leader. Briefcase Girl inside of her. The 2 trailers are Annie's Song, and Rivendell is at the back of the field. They're midway on the far turn. It's Tom's Beauty showing the way, pressed by Carmen Miranda in second. 2.5 more. Pearl Glory in the red cap down at the rail. She's got away. Ready, Jet, Go is 5th. They're at the top of the stretch. And Tom's Beauty still full of run at the 8th pole. Opens up a 1.5 lengths. Briefcase Girl with a belated rally down on the inside. Carmen Miranda still second with Pearl Glory third. It's Tom's Beauty, another for Hector Berrios. Tom's Beauty just cruising to victory. Scores by 2.5 emphatic lengths. Carmen Miranda was second. A rallying Rebel Girl came through traffic for third. Briefcase Girl was in the battle with Pearl Glory for the minor award, along with She's Got Away. The colors of Calumet Farm goes in. And they're off. Street Mogul is the quickest out of the gate. Bluegrass Go-Go on the extreme outside is up close. Snap Daddy ridden for speed. Big Hat Willie along the inside. Moves up. And Big Hat Willie is right with Bluegrass Go-Go as they get to the main track, but it's Bluegrass Go-Go maintaining the edge by about a length. In third, Snap Daddy, 2.5 off the leader. Henry Q is next. On the outside, Motorcade advancing steadily in the green colors. Look Sharp on hold in traffic at this stage, 4 lengths off the leader. They're followed by Soldatna, 2 in front of Street Mogul, and Arrow the Great will do his best running later. They have 3/8 of a mile to go, and it's Bluegrass Go-Go who's been there every step of the way. Big Hat Willie moves to engage, and Motorcade continues to make progress on the outside third. At the rail, Henry Q in the yellow colors, fourth and in striking range, just 2 lengths off the lead. Arrow the Great, yellow cap, widest of all, trying to mount a bid late. Top of the stretch, Bluegrass Go-Go, confronted by Motorcade, who's coming professionally on the outside to challenge. And Motorcade is up on even terms. Down at the rail, Henry Q is coming with a nice run, pinned down to the rail, but he is determined. And Henry Q, another for Frankie Dettori, wins 3/4 of a length. Bluegrass Go-Go was second, Big Hat Willie, Motorcade, and then it was Arrow the Great to complete the super high five. Every Saturday and Sunday, it's an online contest mixing popular sports props, including horse racing and football. Every Saturday and Sunday, $500 in prize money is given to the top winner. And Sunday, February 12th, the big game will be... And in. And they're off. Quick start for Genius Jimmy. On the inside, here's Escape Artist coming through to vie for the early lead. But it is Bolt Supremacy, the long shot leader by the stands the first time. Bolt Supremacy on the inside and a very keen Genius Jimmy. Those two hook up into the first turn. Escape Artist settles into a good spot on the inside of Single Track Mine. A gap of 4 to Eastbound, who's now just 2 wide into the first turn. Excel Calculator is just inside of that one. Then comes Shadow Creek racing in between horses. San Anton is down at the rail, and 1.5 lengths back to Keen to Go at the yellow cap. 2 clear of Fast Chad, and Maltese Falcon will do his best running later, more than 15 off the pace, which is being set by Genius Jimmy. Heading toward the half-mile pole, Genius Jimmy 1.5 lengths, Bolt Supremacy second. Escape Artist, Single Track Mine third and fourth. Then Excel Calculator and Eastbound is now about 9 or 10 lengths off the leader. San Anton out on the inside is trying to make some headway, needs to find room in a bit. And outside of him is Shadow Creek. Keen to Go is just outside of them. Maltese Falcon second to last, and Fast Chad at the back of a strung out field. Genius Jimmy, the controlling speed. Escape Artist coming through along the inside of Bolt Supremacy as the field turns for home. Genius Jimmy still has something left, and a 3-length lead with a furlong left to go. Now it's 4. In second, Escape Artist, and no one making any serious headway. Genius Jimmy cruises home, the easiest of winners. Genius Jimmy wins by 4. Escape Artist was second. Maltese Falcon finished third. And then it's a photo between Excel Calculator, Keen to Go, and Eastbound. And Lady T. They're in the gate. And they're off. Lady T is hustled out of there. Angel Nadeshiko awake at midnight in between them. Here's Samurai Charm and Anakapa, and the favorite Fun to Dream trails early, 3 lengths off the lead. Anakapa at the rail takes over, heading to the 5/8. Samurai Charm just a head back second, 2 more to Angel Nadeshiko in third. They are followed now by Awake at Midnight, who moves up between horses, taking the third spot. Fun to Dream is just inside of her. Lady T is 4 wide, 2.5 off the pace Angel Nadeshiko drops to last. Into the turn, Samurai Charm makes her move, puts her head in front. At the rail, Anacapa is asked to respond second. Awake at Midnight, 3 wide. Lady T outside of them. Fun to Dream, looking for racing room now. She just goes by Anacapa at the quarter pole and a long way back to Angel Nadeshiko. Awake at Midnight gets the jump on the favorite Fun to Dream, who's won from the outside. Samurai Charm fights on doggedly, and here's Fun to Dream kicking into high gear at the 8th pole. It's Awake at Midnight and Fun to Dream. Fun to Dream runs right by, and Fun to Dream, another graded stakes victory, wins the Santa Monica by 2.5 convincing lengths. Awake at Midnight second. Samurai Charm and Lady T. And he received a Special Eclipse Award for a career excellence this past month. Santa Anita welcomes Jay Pridman, his wife Ann, and a close friend, Dr. Kevin Chan, and his wife, They're in the gate. A little bit of movement from Irideo. And they're off in the Thunder Road. Smooth start. And a quick one for Bob and Jackie. Earl's Rock has a little bit of early gas, and so does Air Force Red. Here's the great Dark Shift, now moving up, widest of all and quickest of all. And he takes the lead into the first turn, so it will be Dark Shift to set the tempo. Air Force Red a joint second, racing on the outside of Bob and Jackie. Earl's Rock, Irideo is next. Then it's a 4 wide, Hit the Road, who's only 4 lengths off the lead. And there goes Harvard is just inside of him. Anaconda, De Jour, Kiss Today, Goodbye. And Cabo Spirit is 5 lengths behind them. They head toward the half-mile pole. And it is the great Dark Shift, taken in hand by Frankie Dettori, leading by about a length. Air Force Red moves a little bit closer in second and Hit the Road, widest of all, a joint third. He's on the outside of Bob and Jackie. There goes Harvard, is in between those two. Down at the rail, Earl's Rock biding his time, joined by Anaconda with Irideo between them. De Jour is next. Kiss Today Goodbye, and Cabo Spirit called on at the back. 8 lengths off the lead as they pass the quarter pole and turn for home. Here's Air Force Red, right to Dark Shift. Dark Shift not done, fighting on bravely. Just in behind them comes Bob and Jackie. At the rail, Earl's Rock is trying to get out with a menacing late bid. He's only a length and a half, and he chooses to go in between rivals. He's surging quickly, and from the back, De Jour, here's the line. Photo finish, Earl's Rock and De Jour in a thrilling renewal of the Thunder Road. Just behind them, it was Air Force Red and Irideo.
You saw the graphic. Plenty of rainbows will appear in Arcadia, California at 2:04 p.m. Pacific time. Why is that? Because it's mandatory pad in the 20-cent rainbow pick six. The current carryover close to $400,000. Expectations are of new money will be close to $3 million. A lot of money on the line for a 20-cent wager. It all begins in race number 4 today. Everybody, my name is Tom Quigley, VIP Player Concierge. Also your seminar host for the next 35 minutes. Delighted that you decided to join us on this Sunday here at the Great Race Place. And our guest today, excuse me, is not only a lawyer, lawyers choked me up, but he's also a horse player. He's a very experienced horse player and an accomplished horse player as well. He's been on the seminar before. He's got great opinions, and it's our pleasure to welcome him into the seminar today. His name, Trey Stiles. Trey, welcome to the seminar. Happy Sunday.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Glad you had me here.
I'm all choked up because you're a lawyer, so let's talk about that first. You've actually got a job to pay for your pleasure. You live in Houston, Texas. You decided to come out here this weekend. What type of law do you practice, and how long have you been practicing?
Well, I graduated law school in '93. Been practicing since then. I currently have my own firm. I went out on my own about 10 years ago, and I kind of developed. I used to do a lot of injury type cases, still do some of that, but now generally a little bit more of estate planning and probate litigation, those kind of things. My wife's a probate judge for another couple of weeks, and so it just kind of worked together where kind of just started doing that type of work.
Does being a lawyer help you become a better horse player from an analytical standpoint or maybe an analysis standpoint?
I don't know. I don't know that I can say that that's true. Different skill sets, I think. But I never really thought about that. Nobody's ever asked me that before. I don't know. No, I'd say no.
Let me ask you an easier question. When did you start playing the horses, before or after 1993?
Before. No, I grew up on the Texas-Louisiana border because we didn't have racing in Texas back then.
You were near Beaumont?
Grew up in Beaumont.
Okay.
And so that's where I went to high school. And so I'd go over to Delta Downs as
Sure.
soon as my friends, one of them got a car. And we
Good old Vinton, Louisiana.
go to Vinton, Louisiana. They didn't really have... they're pretty lax on the rules over there back then.
There's no chicanery, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So my buddies and I would be the designated driver and then I dropped them off at the bars, go to the track. A couple of us would go to the track and then pick them up on the way back.
Sure. Well, it was a good education because, as I mentioned in the opening, you're a very accomplished horse player. You're near the lead in the NHC Tour as we're starting to count down the days for the end of the tour. Also, incredibly and remarkably, you qualified for the NHC Championship in Las Vegas 21 times. How many times have they held the NHC? Is it basically like 22, 23?
Well, I missed the first 3. So I started year 4 and been there every year since. A lot of very close calls along the way. But I don't know. It's kind of amazing that every one of those things happened. That some of those, especially the earlier years when you actually had to go places, there were no online contests. Yeah. It was much harder. You only had it. I mean, I'd go to 4 or 5 contests, so you didn't have many chances.
You're near the top of the NHC Tour, and of course, a lot of people say the tour chooses you. You don't choose the tour, because if you have success early on in the year, then all of a sudden you're in competition for the NHC Tour. It's kind of like the PGA Tour, right? You get points along the line depending upon what tournaments you play in. What's the first place prize if you do win the NHC Tour, which obviously is your main objective right now?
I'm trying, and you're absolutely right. It's not something I plan to do. I used to make fun of the people. I'm like, who would think that that's a good use of time?
Get on a plane and go somewhere else for another weekend.
Yeah, it sounds like, who would think that's a good idea, a good risk evaluation analysis? But you're right. I find myself here, and so first place is 75,000. Second place is 30,000. So at this point, there's only a week left. So I'm kind of going wherever I got to go to try to get that next jump. But it's hard. It's just not much. The scores are all so high with everybody that I'm competing with that it's hard to get that really big score.
You're in the elite stratosphere and dealing with rare and uniquely qualified horse players. You mentioned you're kind of traveling and bouncing all around the country. This weekend you're here at Santa Anita. Next weekend you're going to be at Tampa Bay Downs. They're having another tournament. Let's just say you win the Tampa Bay tournament. Do you think that's going to be enough to get you up to first place?
It just depends on how many people are there. There needs to be
So you need everybody watching to go to Tampa.
Everybody
and play
go
the
to
tournament.
Tampa, sign up. Yeah, I'm plugging
come
Tampa.
One, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That one's you have to be there. So like your contest yesterday, you could participate remotely. But in fact, probably 80% of the people probably
via
did.
expressbet.com.
Right. So I like that because you're more likely to get a larger. If you show up, you still get the points as if you're live, and you get more points if you show up than you do if you play online. For people that don't know how that works. So.
And somewhat coincidentally, Trey, I believe you're currently in 4th in the NHC Tour, and you finished 4th in yesterday's tournament. You had a really good day. I think you wound up with close to $2,000 or $3,000 in terms of the final bankroll. What was maybe your big hit yesterday here at Santa Anita?
Well, actually, so I'm in second right now on the tour.
All right.
Did finish fourth. I was in second or third here all day. I had 2 entries. I was in first and second, and then second and third. Actually, my biggest plays yesterday were some strong opinions at Gulfstream in those early races, and so because it was 4 races there, and then your entire card,
Right.
and so
Do you have Rocket Man as an example? Did he win the Holy Bull?
I did have, yes.
The Bill Mott horse?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. I just loaded up on doubles. I didn't have any big prices, but $250 double or five, whatever it was. And so they paid and got, not huge. The prices weren't really, I kind of expected them to be larger. So I was pleased when I just kind of hung on and, nibbled my way into fourth place there and worked out.
Trey either won a NHC seat for next year, which would mean he's qualified 22 times, or an Ultimate Betting Challenge seat. We're going to find out which one he chooses later on today. We're also going to find out who Trey likes on today's excellent 9-race card, which of course includes the mandatory pad and the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. But before we get Trey's opinions, let's toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramati and get the early changes on today's card here at the Great Race Place.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the Great Race Place. Here are the changes. The track is fast and the turf is firm. Rail on the turf is out 10 feet today. No scratches or jockey changes in race 1, start of the early pick 5. In the second, scratch number 5, Crixus Flash. Race 2, scratch number 5. In the third, number 3, Outright, will carry 1 pound over. The Rainbow Pick 6 today begins with race 4. We do have a mandatory payout. There's no high 5 wagering. Scratch 6, Kind of Blue. 391,000 in the carryover with mandatory payout today. We're estimating somewhere in the range of $3 million as a potential pool total. We'll keep you posted through graphics during the lead up to this afternoon's 4th race. In the 5th race, the start of the late pick 5, a couple of blinker notes. Race 6 is the grade 3 San Marcos. We do have a super high 5 carryover from yesterday of more than $18,330. In the 7th, the Palos Verdes Stakes, no changes. In the 8th, scratch number 12, Krahenbull. The 8th starts the golden hour pick 4. The 9th starts the golden hour double program scratcher 4, Count of Amazonia. Enjoy your day at Santa Anita Park. Mandatory payout today. Post time for our first is in 58 minutes at 12:30. Keep in mind, we do have the Coast to Coast Pick 5 as usual. The Coast to Coast Pick 5 offered every Saturday and Sunday with a player-friendly 15% takeout and a $1 minimum wager. We've been posting the great payoffs for this bet, and today it starts at Gulfstream Park with their 8th race. The 6th is coming up at Gulfstream. So in about an hour and 4 minutes, we'll kick off the Coast to Coast Pick 5, combining races from Gulfstream Park and Santa Anita Park, $1 minimum wager. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner and resume the seminar. His guest today has tremendous record in the NHC, and he'll give you some winners today. Trey Stiles.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with Trey Stiles. He is second currently in the NHC Tour. He's trying to win the first place prize of $75,000. That's why he's on track. He played in yesterday's $1,500 live money tournament here. He finished in 4th place. He had a good showing for it, but not good enough to bump him up to first in the NHC Tour. Also, he's qualified for the National Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas, which is held in March at the old Bally's Hotel, which has now been rebranded as Horseshoe 21 times and soon to be 22 times as well. He's also a lawyer in the Houston, Texas area. It's our pleasure to have him today. Besides that entire list of accomplishments and things that you've done from a horse playing standpoint, you're also part of the Sam Houston broadcasting team. You're kind of considered to be the track analyst, the track handicapper. What do you do over at Sam Houston?
I do the pre-race show. We call it Sharpie Time, SHRP with an E on the end.
Sure.
Super clever, I think. But don't tell Frank that over there. He gets a big head. But
yeah. Or Nick, right?
So I do that with Nick Tamaro. It's kind of like this, a 30-minute show. Currently, nobody can watch it, but
yeah, well, minor detail,
whole nother problem. But yeah, it's kind of like this. We do a little analysis of all the card, and then when I'm around, like I'm here with you now, so they're running as we speak. So obviously today I'm not doing the pre-race previews or doing any of that, but I do a little 5-minute spiel before each race. And I'm not so they call them paddock previews, but I'm not a like I love your paddock stuff, man. I'm always amazed how you do that, but that's not my strength. It's just a preview that happens during the paddock while the horses are in there, so we call them paddock previews.
There's a million ways to find the winner, right, Trey? And you've certainly found a lot of runners, or winners, I should say, during your horse playing career. So let's say if you can find some of the 9 winners on today's card. And of course, race number 1, as you can see on the graphic, we're fast and firm here in Arcadia, California. It's a little bit overcast, a little bit cool by Southern California standards, but no rain whatsoever. Weather will have no impact on the track conditions today. So we kick it off in race number 1, sprinting 6.5 furlongs in the main track for maiden special weight 3-year-old fillies. Also begins the 50-cent early pick 5. The first race is a race that a lot of handicappers might not necessarily enjoy handicapping because many of these are first-time starters, but we're here to help. So courtesy of our friends at xbtv.com, a number of these first-time starters have workouts in the xbtv.com library, and more interestingly enough, many of them have worked in company with each other. So let's kind of go in order here. We've got Clearly Unhinged from the Michael McCarthy barn in post position number 1. Ironically, he worked in company with number 4, Best Year Ever, on January 21st. Let's watch that gate drill on the main track. You can see that Clearly Unhinged is on the outside here and breaks really fast. The horse that broke slow was Best Year Ever. So right now he's trailing this trio of workers, but he'll kind of get back up into contention here really quick. One of the things to take away as you're watching this continuation of the workout is obviously Clearly Unhinged has a lot of early speed, and Johnny V drawing the rail, I'm sure, will utilize that speed in order to break from the rail post position. But even though Best Year Ever missed the break, look how much ground he makes up relatively quickly and relatively effortlessly. You don't need to watch Gold Dragon Queen, who's in 3rd place right now. He's not running on today's card, nor is he in race number 1. So we're just focusing on the top 2 runners in this workout review. It's only a 4 furlong work, so they're going to end here shortly before they get to the finish line. But you can see Clearly Unhinged, obviously minds his manners, holds a clear lead over Best Year Ever. A bit inconclusive because, as I mentioned, Best Year Ever missed the break. Do you watch many workouts as part of your handicapping arsenal if you can get access to them, Trey?
I do sometimes. I wish I'd have watched these before because I didn't know what to do.
I'm here to help.
I know. I appreciate it, Tom. I really struggled after the Baffert horse in this one. So,
do you struggle? Do you struggle with maiden races in general? In other words, a lot of players like it because you can kind of roll up your sleeves and get into pedigree. You can look at how trainers do with first-time starters. If you're handicapping Sanita or Gulfstream Park, you can watch the workouts courtesy of xbtv.com. Do you either enjoy or tend to avoid maiden races?
No, I like them. And like yesterday, there was a race here. A couple of first-time starters, I think it was 4-1. I want to say they were 8-1 and 20-1 that ran 1-2.
Yep.
And I was all over that because just using stats, trainer stats, sire stats, all that action. I like to get involved. Sometimes when I'm doing contests, get a little nervous making big plays there, but I like the races.
Before we get your selections on the race, more workouts to look at in order to hopefully help or maybe confuse the betting public. Here's another team drill. It's both of the runners from the Phil D'Amato barn in race number 1. It's number 2, Clickish, and number 3, Curl Girl. Let's show the gate drill here on January 28th. Clickish is going to be on the outside, and Curl Girl has the blinkers on, which she adds today on the inside. And this, as we continue to watch the workout, this is another workout that's kind of inconclusive because as they continue working here 5 furlongs, basically in the same time, you can see they never really separate from each other. They basically maintain this small margin of separation the entire workout. One thing I will point out is that as we enter the turn, Number 2, Clickish, who's on the outside, kind of drifts out, or maybe even in my estimation, lugs out a little bit. That gives the inside runner, Curl Girl, a bit of an advantage. But then Clickish kind of re-rallies here as they exit the turn. And then basically, like I said, they just kind of go from a maintenance standpoint, head and head all the way to the wire. I'm not sure this is very conclusive. They're 6-1 and 5-1 on the morning line. So personally, if you're interested in these two runners, I would play whichever one is the higher priced on the tote board come post time, simply because they seem to have equal ability. This is your first time watching it, Trey. What did you think of this 5 furlong workout?
I have the 2 selected, the outside horse there, as my second choice in the race, and I agree with you. I don't know that I like what I saw there.
Sure.
But if the
First
3, if I can get a lot more odds on the 3, I'm with you. I think you take whatever it is who's paying more there. That's really why I kind of went with the 2. I was looking for a first-time starter that might pay.
And the final workout we have is for the runner who's all the rage on the tote board right now at 2-5, and it's the Bob Baffert first-time starter, who they paid in excess of $800,000 for. Conquistar is the name of this particular filly. This is a workout back on January 26th. Conquistar is on the outside, and the inside runner is a maiden from the Bob Baffert barn named Uncle Jack. If you've got a decent memory, Uncle Jack actually ran last Sunday here at San Ida and finished a distant 4th to Go Rocket Ride. Go Rocket Ride was that impressive maiden winner in race number 3 from the Richard Mandela barn. So Conquistar here kind of just works heads up. You can kind of see the end of the book before we get to it. Conquistar worked in 59.20, and Uncle Jake worked in 59.20 as well, almost head and head. So I'm not sure that Conquistar's work here is very flattering, simply because Uncle Jack really didn't do much against Go Rocket Ride. Now, keep in mind, Go Rocket Ride was brilliant in victory and is pointing to a stakes race immediately out of that maiden victory. But you can see Conquistar here on the outside is really not being asked by the rider, is certainly traveling more ground than the work-made Uncle Jack. 5 furlong drill here. Anything you see, you like, you dislike in the workout here, Trey?
I'm with you. I don't know that you can draw too much from there. Clearly not asked to do any
exactly right
there. And so I just think that's a monster here in this race.
And you like Conquistar on top?
I tried not to, but that's where I landed. I hate to give you the 2-5 pick, but some of these first races, as my picture on the screen there, are a little chalk heavy. So just bear with me.
Well, we'll see as we continue through the card. I know you got some big prices, so let's turn the page, take a look at race number 2. We'll finish with the workouts in race number 2, and race 2 begins the 50-cent early pick 4. We're on the turf course today. The rails are at 10 feet. This race is 1 mile in distance. Calbred, allowance optional claiming types, 3 years old of age. Scratch the 5, leaves us with a field of 5. Number 3, Hacking It Up, is a first-time gelding, the morning line favorite on the bottom. Number 6, Tom and Jazzy, 9-5 on the morning line. Talk to us about race 2, Trey.
There's not much turf experience for a race. Counted up 28 starts and only 5 of them on the turf in the whole field. So again, that's kind of a question you ask, like first-time starters. This is kind of the same problem. It's hard to
take a short price on something like given that sample size.
No, exactly. And so that's why I think Tom and Jazzy's a logical morning line favorite there. But I went with Please Focus a little more. A horse that's run 5 times, and the 5 on the dirt were horrible. Didn't beat a horse in 3 races, but the 2 on the turf only beat by 1. So, and one of those being Tom and Jazzy. But I just thought Please Focus getting back to the turf here. Going to be in for a tag for the first time out of a stakes race last time. Just thought that one made sense here.
You make a lot of sense, Trey, in your analysis of race number 2, because I think handicappers look at the horse's form in entirety, but yet you're willing to draw lines through those dirt efforts and just focus on the turf efforts because that's the surface we're racing on today. A lot of players don't do that, and I think that leads to their demise because you need to focus on the surface that the horse is running on today.
Especially, this one just jumps out at you. It didn't even finish the last race, and gets totally destroyed on the dirt at different tracks. So, and that's a value spot, right? Something that people are always looking for value. You got a horse that maybe threw out a stinker. If you can figure out why that horse threw the stinker, and here I think that's the reason, then you get a little more than you normally would. As experienced horse players, we typically tend to cringe at 5-2 odds, but in a 5-horse field, 5-2 could actually represent value. This could be the third pick. I honestly think it could be the second or third pick in the race. It's only 6 horses. Fair enough. Let's take a look at race number 3. 1 mile on the main track. $12,500 is the claiming tag. We've got a field of 6. Morning line favorite on the bottom from the Steve Miotti barn is number 6, Claim of Passion. 2-1 on the morning line. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Trey, another workout to watch. I found this one to be very, very interesting. It's a workout on January 29th. And as we roll the tape for Claim of Passion's work,
We're first going to focus in on a filly by the name of Fun to Dream. You remember her? She won the Grade 2 Santa Monica yesterday for trainer Bob Baffert, and that's her working. And all of a sudden, look who shows up on the outside is our good old friend Claim of Passion, who's in for a $12,500 tag, has the red polo front wraps on. And of course, Fun to Dream is very, very good. Blinkers came off. She's now 4 for 4 since the blinkers came off. She's also 4 for 4 at 7 furlongs. But look at Claim of Passion, little old hard-knocking 7-year-old gelding. Give her a tussle here coming down the lane. For a $12,500 claimer, Trey, I thought that this was a very good workout. And as you can even see past the wire, he's digging in and not letting Fun to Dream, who's extremely talented daughter of Arrogate, get by him. That was, in my opinion, and I'm certainly no workout analyst, that was a very good workout for a claiming horse at this level.
It makes me feel better for picking this one as my pick. You convinced me, Tom. I like it.
I'm a good salesman. What did you like about Claim of Passion other than that workout?
Well, the workout was great. This is a horse that had been running up at Golden Gate, but has proven to be able to run on the dirt. And I thought that last race before that one was running maybe against this type or maybe a little better, and just was doing well, can close, a little versatility with the style there. I really think that Claim of Passion in a race that I think is not quite as chalky maybe as these earlier races. There are some other ways you could go here, but I just thought Claim of Passion, particularly now after your work there, I like that. I'm going to stick with race 3 with the Claim of Passion.
Race number 4 is where the fireworks begin. Why is that? Because today is mandatory payout in the 20-cent pick 6. All players around the country love playing on mandatory payout days. As you can see, the current carryover is $391,000, but everything must go. Expectations are $3 million in new money will be wagered into the pool in addition to that carryover amount. And we kick things off in race number 4, sprinting on the turf course, 6 furlongs of the distance, Calbred maiden special weight 3-year-old fillies. Scratch the 6, leaves us with a field of 6. The morning line favorite down on the rail, adding Lasix from the Doug O'Neill barn. Number 1, Loyal to a Fault, 6-5 on the morning line. We need a winner to kick it off, Trey. Who's it going to be?
It very well may be Loyal to a Fault. On paper, that's hard to ignore. There's just a lot to like there. But I decided to go with Timely Luck. Again, I was trying to beat favorites. The first 3 didn't have success. But here I'm going to try Timely Luck.
She's down on the bottom, number 7.
Yes, number 7, a horse that's only been out one time. And I watched that replay, lost to Sassy Nature. But that horse was just a monster. I mean, I saw the fractions and I thought, I got to watch this replay. And I mean, the horse ended up getting an 88 buyer out of that race. And I mean, Timely Luck just never had a shot with that group. With the, sometimes when they're in too deep, they'll just kind of give up, and when there's no chance. But this one, I mean, from a buyer perspective, kind of fits, even though a distant 4th, 19.5 lengths. That's a pretty good stomp in there. But McCarthy 20% with second-time starters. I think will be closer this time. Maybe a little. This group's a little more in Timely Luck's mix, and I just think I think you can see a lot better reaction here with Timely Luck. Maybe not getting so distanced early by a monster like last time.
In your in your analysis for Timely Luck, Trey, you mentioned watching race replays. How important are race replays for you in terms of your overall handicapping arsenal?
I can't say that I watch every race, every horse, every race, but on something like this, it's very important because it just jumps out at you when you see those fractions and you see the horse just blow everybody away like that. So I wanted to get in and see what happened that day. And then when I watched it, I had a better feel of how I had more sympathy, more thoughts at Timely Luck.
Conviction.
Yeah, that maybe this one, that was just a bad spot. And so just kind of ran into a beast that day. And so, yeah, for whatever reason, they can help. Lots of times I watch replays. Sometimes the best is when you can find one that's not in the trouble line, right?
100%.
And then, man, if you can find those are gifts.
It's time consuming, but it's certainly worthwhile the time that you invest because, as you mentioned, you go way beyond what's printed in the racing form.
Yeah, when I'm out in Vegas in the finals at the NHC, I'll do a lot more just to make sure I'm not missing something. And I don't go watch them all. Maybe the last one or the last 2, but. Yeah, another good one though. If you can find a trouble line, I think there's one later in the card. I'm like, I don't know that I agree with that.
Sure.
And so people just look at it and go, oh well, he had a bad race because he stumbled at the start. But when you watch the replay, you're like, well, that wasn't much, and that can really put you in a spot ahead of others.
So watching replays, I assume you won't be a part of the Vegas nightlife the second week in March.
I don't. I go out. I'm so pitiful. I go out early and I'm the lamest person.
You hunker down.
Yeah, it's pitiful. It's kind of sad. Everybody, my friends are like, hey, going to Vegas for a week. All right. I am very boring. So
I know that feeling, that's for sure. Not 21 times, though, I will say that. Race number 5, 7 furlongs in the main track for fillies and mares, $40,000 of the claiming tag. Also, race 5 begins the 50-cent late pick 5. If you miss the 20-cent rainbow pick 6 in race 4, just fire back in the late pick 5. You've already done the work. We've got a field of 6. Morning line favorite from the John Sadler barn, who certainly gives plenty of great opportunities to jockey Emily Ellingwood, is the 8-5 morning line favorite. Talk to us about race 5, Trey.
I decided to go right next door with Miss Fia, the 4-horse in that race. It's just maybe only a notch below some of these, or a notch above some of these, but I just think there's a lot of boxes that get checked for me. This is a horse that usually not on the lead, not a big closer, but there's a lot of speed in here, I think. And so I think the style I like for this one, I think you might see a little further back this time. You just almost never see a clunker with Miss Fia. You know, that's what I call them, the clunkers, when they just, you look at it and you go, what happened? And you can't even tell why, but the horse is, last. There is one mixed in there, but horse fires almost every time. I just think the extra distance might help. This just checks a lot of boxes for me. Like Santa Anita, 8 out of 8 in the money. I mean, it just kind of checks a lot of them. And I think you're going to get 4 or 5 to 1 on this one.
Fair enough. And blinkers come off for Trey's top selection in race number 4, Miss Fia. Race number 6 is the first of 2 stakes races on today's card. It's the Grade 3 San Marco Stakes. We're traveling 1.25 miles on the turf course. The race is just partially up the chute, coming down the hill. And also race number 6 begins the 50-cent late pick 4. Also keep in mind, we've got an $18,000 super high 5 carryover. Nobody hit the super high 5 in yesterday's last race, the Thunder Road. So the $18,000 carryover carries over into race number 6. We've got a good field of 10. And the morning line favorite from the Leonard Powell barn is number 7, Dicey Mochara. 3 to 1 on the morning line. Now this looks like a good race where you can roll up your sleeves and maybe get a price.
I'm with you. So one of the things I like doing at Sam Houston is I have a Trey's fave play of the day. Every one horse that I like that I think is the best, maybe not the best, most likely to win, but the best value and
the best gamble.
The best gamble. And that was where if I had a Trey's fave play of the day today, it would be right here.
And you do. Who is it?
It'd be number 5. Yes, this time. This is a horse that
12 to 1.
Yeah. So you look in the past few years, you're like, Trey, what are you thinking? 4 starts, $20,000, $25,000. But you can see this horse has made over $400,000. And I mean, that was in the past, but you look through these PPs, the horse is still getting better. The horse is still, from a buyer perspective, are going up until that last race with a little dip. But I mean, the horse is firing third by 3/4, fourth, second. I mean, not bad efforts. I just think that people sometimes get caught up. Like you look in those last 2 years of finish spots, and they're not that strong. But the results, or the races, the times, the figures, whatever you like to use, whatever metric, are kind of in the mix here. I've got a few Glatt picks today, so this is the first one here, and I think I like this one. I mean, I really think this would be my top pick, even at those odds. I mean, even if I would play this horse at lower odds, and I think you're going to get a good price.
You talked about the Beyer speed figure of 93 that, yes, this time earned 2 races back. That's actually his career best Beyer. So you make a very good point that this 5-year-old still has a lot of a run left in his legs. And if Mark Glatt, maybe with the transition from the East Coast here to the West Coast with Joe Bravo in the saddle, can get that run out of him, he certainly looks like a live long shot at 12 to 1. Race number 7 is the second stakes race on today's card. It's the Grade 3 Palace Verde Stakes. $200,000 guaranteed is the purse. 6 furlongs in the main track is the distance. Number 3, Howbeit, speaking of Mark Glatt, is the 2 to 1 morning line favorite. Is he another Glatt winner, or are you looking elsewhere?
It is. No, I've got the 2. He's got the 3, the Howbeit and Escape Route right next door. I've got them both here. And I mean, Smith and Glatt teaming up. I mean, this is not, you don't have to do any fancy digging. You can look right here in your form, and the numbers percentages are solid with a huge ROI.
It's Mark Glatt's go-to guy.
Yeah, and so the go-to guy here is ridden this one twice and sticks here instead of Escape Route, which is a horse I kind of wanted to play, but I thought, the go-to guy's here, so that's where I'm going to go. And I don't know that you're going to get a big price on this one, but I think Escape Route next door is a horse that, other than the clunker thrown out last time, where 10th beaten 13 when they switched over to Diodoro at Churchill, now back with Glatt. Other than the time off, I think that horse fits as well as any. Other than the time off and the go-to jock being right next door, that would probably be my pick. But so I had to go in the order.
Let's talk about betting strategy for this race for a minute, Trey, because we haven't really talked about that. We're just focused on picking winners. So you like both of the Mark Glatt runners in race number 7 for wagering purposes. If Escape Route suddenly drifted up to 15 to 1 and Howbeit would be 7 to 5, would you maybe change your betting strategy? And no matter what the odds might be, Would you maybe box them in an exacta? Would you weight it, in a certain way in terms of if you had to allocate $100? Would you use both on the pick six? Like, just kind of give us a glimpse into like how you would kind of structure your wagers with those two runners.
I think I am going to use both of them on the pick six. If I needed a single somewhere, this would probably be a decent spot to do it because I think
depending upon the cost of your ticket.
Right, exactly. But and you asked that question. I'm sitting here next to you because of contest play. So, and my answer to that in a contest would be different than it is me, a guy sitting out there with $20 in his pocket, right? So, in a contest, I'd switch to the 4 in a heartbeat and try to beat the odds-on, player there. With my own money, if I'm trying to turn $20 into $22 or whatever, what I want to come home with more money than I started with, then I get a different route. But I probably would, like I said, I'm going to use both of them in the multis.
You make a very good point. It all depends on what your objective is when you walk through the doors, or whether you're firing away on the computer at home. What's your mission? And based upon what your mission is going to decide your wagering strategy. Race number 8, happy to announce we're coming down the hillside turf course here, 6.5 furlongs down the hill. This is an allowance race, non-winners of one other than. Also, race 8 begins the popular $1 Golden Hour pick 4, linking our last 2 races here with the last 2 races at Golden Gate. Scratch the also eligible. Number 12 will not compete. Also take note, number 8, Lost in Space, is a first-time gelding. The lukewarm morning line favorite from the Tim Yuck Teen Barn is number 3, Augusta Melody, 7-2 on the morning line. All right, another price here, Trey?
Yeah, if you said, Trey, you're in a contest and you have to have a winner, you don't care about odds, I'd probably go with that 3, Augusta Melody, but I couldn't do that sitting here now. I mean, I went with the 10. You can see on my picks, I got the 10 and the 5. I thought Tulsa Tornado. We talked earlier about going with horses that like their surface. Well, here's a horse that's run 8 times, 5 best speed figures, buyer figures, all on the turf. Clearly, the horse prefers that surface. And so throw out that last one. It was also a grade 3. These aren't going to be, this isn't a graded stakes race here. So I just thought that we get back to gets back to the turf. I thought this one had a big shot at big odds, so I had to make that my top picks.
Blinkers go on your top pick, number 10, Tulsa Tornado. And you make a very good point, Trey. As handicappers, particularly ones that play the races every day, we actually salivate when we see a bad running line that we can excuse, right? Last time out up at Golden Gate, that was over the synthetic. Players mostly play off of that last running line, unfortunately, to their demise many times. And all you're willing to do, and what I'm willing to do, is take our pen and draw a line right through that and suddenly just focus on the turf races. And suddenly you're looking at a horse that's 8-1 on the morning line with a Hall of Fame jockey in the saddle.
And this one's kind of like the one we talked about earlier in the car. I mean, it's not just one race that you can look at. There's 8 races, and all 3 of the worst figures come out of non-turf surfaces. I mean, this is screaming at you to play against that, to do exactly what you just described.
And we also see you like a bit of a price here, number 5. Do It for Andrew, who's 5-1 from the Phil D'Amato barn. What do you see about Do It for Andrew?
Well, I had a big layoff before the last time out. This is kind of where we were talking about watching the replay. So the comment says bumped hard. I watched the replay. I only had the side angle. I didn't have the front. And maybe there was a hard bump. I didn't really see it, but I'm not an expert at those things. And
it's open for interpretation. Let's put it that way, right?
I mean,
is that a legal term?
There you go. Okay. There you go. I'll go with that. But not a horse that I mean, it still made an impressive rally. Whatever the reason for the poor start, did very well. And I think, had improving form before the break. It just really took a teeny step back on the buyer scale. I think that horse gets right back in line and keeps going up.
10-5 in race number 8. In race number 8, beat the favorite. So says our seminar guest, Trey Stiles. Race number 9 closes out the day, closes out the week. Keep in mind, live racing will resume next week. Keep in mind, Big Game Sunday is next Sunday. Racing resumes on Friday. 9 race card starts at 12:30 p.m. And next Sunday, on Big Game Sunday, we'll start the races at 11 a.m. Pacific time to make sure that they conclude before the big game kicks off at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. But first things first, race 9, we're 1 mile on the turf course, allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 2 other than. Also, race 9 begins the popular $5 Golden Hour Daily Double. Similar concept, linking our last race with the last race at Golden Gate. Program scratch of the 4 leaves us with a field of 11. Number 3, Exalted, once again a lukewarm morning line favorite at 7-2. These final few races get a little bit tricky for pick 6 players because there's a lot of different directions you can go in. Which direction you going in?
Yeah, this is a hard one. I was almost kind of hoping my pick would scratch out. So the 12 is where I went as my top pick. The outside on the 8 draws in on the AE list. 12-1 morning line. I don't think you're going to see that, but who's going to be the speed this race? I mean, that's the only horse. I think that horse, gets out. I normally get worried that far out, coming up on a turn, not very far away. But I just don't see anybody else to go with this one. Maybe the 6. That's why I had this one I'll be honest. I had my picks entered thinking the 12 would probably scratch out, and I'd have the lone speed with the 6. But I think 12 is the speed of the speed, and I just think around they go all the way around. I don't think you're going to get 12 to 1, but if you do, jump all over it.
Rip City draws the outside post with speed jock Edwin Maldonado in the saddle. We talked about potent combinations of trainers and jockeys. Take a look at the statistics for Edwin Maldonado and Doug O'Neill. They're hitting at a 28% win clip with a big sample size. Before we conclude the seminar, everybody, make sure you get involved with another wager that we're offering today. It's the Coast to Coast $1 Pick 5. We'll put the graphic up showing the sequence of the races for the Coast to Coast Pick 5. It kicks off at 12:37 p.m. Pacific time in Gulfstream Park, race number 8. It's got a low 15% takeout, $1 minimum. Yesterday, I believe the $1 Coast to Coast Pick 5 paid in excess of $8,000. Congratulations to those skilled horse players who hit it. I was personally happy to know a few of them that did, myself excluded. But nevertheless, it always pays well. So make sure you get involved in the Coast to Coast Pick 5, which kicks off in Gulfstream Park, race number 8 at 12:37 p.m. Don't know where the time flew by, Trey, but 35 minutes just zipped by us like it happened in 2 seconds. Great to have you on track here. Thank you for your support. Continued success, not only on the tournament trail, but next week at Tampa Bay. Hopefully, you'll be crowned the NHC Tour champion.
I'm trying. Thanks, buddy.
Safe travels home. Thanks to all of you for watching as well. Make sure you get involved in the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6 mandatory payout today. Everything must go. It's going to pay well. Good luck and enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park. The track is fast, the turf is firm, the rail on the turf at 10 feet. Here are the changes. In the first, the start of the 50-cent early pick 5, we have a blinker note. In the second, scratch number 5, Crixus Flash. Race 3, number 3 outright, 1 pound over. The fourth is the beginning of the Rainbow Six. Scratch number 6, Kind of Blue. The Rainbow Six has a mandatory payout today. There's no high five wagering in the fourth. $391,000 in the carryover for the Rainbow Six. Mandatory payout, we estimate about $3 million in the pool today. Turning to the fifth, start of the late pick 5. Just blinker notes. Race 6, the grade 3 San Marcos. We have a super high 5 carryover from yesterday. $18,330. In the 7th, the grade 3 Palos Verdes Stakes. No changes. The 8th begins the Golden Hour pick 4, scratch number 12. And in the 9th program scratch of number 4, it's the start of the Golden Hour double. Enjoy your day at Santa Anita Park. Post time for the first is in 26 minutes at 12:30.